Would you be surprised if I told you that not all that long ago, Alabama looked like this? This was when the actors on Friends were making $1 million an episode, Eminem was recording the Marshall Mathers LP, and a little thing called Google was founded. Less than 20 years ago, Alabama was as blue as it is red today, if not bluer. But today, Alabama, a state that for the past decade or so has been among the most conservative in the country, is getting even redder. So how is it possible that a state that used to look like this now looks like this? There was a time when the majority of Alabamians wouldn't even consider voting for a Republican in a local or statewide election. But between elections in 2002 and 2018, Republicans flipped 53 legislative seats from Democrats. And the majority of that damage was done in 2010, when Republicans gained 29 seats. To explain how Alabama became so red, we have to look at why it was blue in the first place. And to do that, like with most things in the South, we need to go back to the Civil War. Alabamians and other Southerners blamed Republicans for Abraham Lincoln and Reconstruction. They stayed true to the Democratic Party for more than a century. A quick note here, the party of Lincoln and today's GOP are not the same thing. And Alabamians who were voting blue in local elections weren't lining up to support gun control or other policies we think of as liberal today. But perhaps the biggest difference between then and now is that party divides have grown much deeper. Anyway, by the 1980s and 90s, Alabama Republicans had shown they can compete on the statewide stage. The GOP's Guy Hunt had busted that door down in 1986. But in 1998, just months before Bill Clinton was impeached, Democrat Don Siegelman became Alabama's governor by winning 55 of the state's 67 counties. Alabama was as blue as it would ever be. But that was about to change. There hasn't been another Democratic governor since. Some of that change happened on a national scale. Rush Limbaugh and Fox News galvanized the voice of Republicans, conservatives rallied around George Bush after 9/11, and by 2002, Siegelman, tainted by hints of corruption, couldn't hold off Republican Bob Riley. The Republican Party in Alabama began to organize, and they set in motion plans to take the State House. They were helped by Alabama's era of corruption, where dozens of Democrats were charged and convicted of crimes. Then, as one Alabama Democratic lawmaker put it in 2010, Alabama Democrats got caught up in the President Obama backlash tsunami. The GOP won every statewide race on the ballot that year and took over the legislature for the first time in 150 years. That Obama backlash disrupted offices big and small in Alabama. Up in Huntsville, the longtime county coroner, a Democrat, lost in 2010 to a Republican newcomer who didn't have the equipment to do the job. The Alabama political landscape had completely changed. It became clear that if you wanted to win in most parts of the state, you better be a Republican. Some former Democrats even switched parties. Some tried to switch and were rejected by Republicans. The Alabama Democratic Party was divided by race and infighting, and its infrastructure began to crumble. Republicans used their newfound majority to keep power, including gerrymandering legislative districts. Democrats had been in charge for more than a century, and Republicans were looking to keep power for at least that long, even as they dealt with corruption and scandal of their own. Doug Jones' Senate victory in 2017 appeared to strike a blow for the Democrats, like Guy Hunt once did for the GOP, but it took a perfect storm to get him elected. And the current state government is one of the most conservative it's ever had. Alabama's Democratic Party is on life support, and the national DNC is investigating whether the party rigs its own internal elections. Around the country, Democrats might be celebrating a blue wave, but here in Alabama, the red wave doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. For Reckon, I'm Ramsey Archibald. If you like these videos, follow us on AL.com/Reckon, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our newsletter. Thanks for watching.